They tried to gaslight the original Gaslight.
Right. Inception.
Hey y'all.
What's up, y'all?
I'm Elise.
And I'm Will.
And this is
Team Tatum. Today we're going to be reviewing 1944's Gaslight. Now, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We want y'all to tell us in the comments how y'all feel about it. Instead of giving y'all basically a recap of the whole movie, trying to shorten it down for y'all, we'll just talk about basically how we kind of talk about it when we're
the way that we naturally talk about a movie after we watch it.
Yeah. So, give you a quick breakdown. This is a remake of a British movie of the same name that came out 4 years prior to this. And it's about a lady who, as a kid, well, younger, it says like 10 years ago, she witnessed her aunt get murdered in their house that she grew up in. And so she leaves and lives her life, winds up getting married and coming back to that same house with a new husband. And she's like feeling weird about it, as one would. And her husband is basically, hence the title, gaslighting her the whole time. But technically you don't know that in the movie. You think she's actually sick or something's up with her memory and all that stuff. But that's pretty much the gist of the movie. So I guess we'll start with review as usual. How we do it? Or you want to say that to the end? Anyway, so we watched it on a whim, not knowing that we really got to start looking at this list before we decide to watch movies. We were home for visiting.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. And something was on TV. It was the only thing that was on, because even though my mom has 1,000 channels, there's like 2 things on TV.
On the Turner Classic Movie Channel that I grew up on.
So I was like, Gaslight, that sounds cool. Let's watch that. And turns out that it is called Gaslight because that's where the term started. Not from the movie, but obviously we both have heard of the term gaslighting, but I didn't think at least that term went back that far to the 40s. And actually the movie is set, I think, in the late 1800s is when the movie's supposed to be set. Because they're still using like the gas lanterns on the street, like when a guy used to have to get paid to go and light the lanterns at night. Like, it's way back in the day.
The lights in the house were also gas powered.
Yeah, black and white film. I didn't know any of the main cast except for, get this, a young
20-something.
She was 17.
That's 20-something.
Angela Lansbury. I've never seen Angela Lansbury not an old lady.
And she was doing a little bit of a hoochie too.
Yeah, she was. I was like, this is not the Angela Lansbury that I know. She was probably my favorite part of the whole movie, just because it was crazy. Like, she didn't do anything in particular that made her stand out, but when I was a kid, Angela Lansbury was old. Like, she already had her AARP card. So to see her clearly young, and this was her first movie, no prior acting experience, got the gig, and from this she started getting more work. Not because she did an exceptional job, but tidbit, there's the scene where she's smoking. Mm-hmm. They had to wait until her 18th birthday, which was not that far away from when they started filming, but the laws were like, she cannot be smoking at 17. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it's crazy. Her, Morgan Freeman, and yeah, just her and Morgan Freeman been old.
Nelson been old his whole life.
Yeah, certain people were just born old. You've never seen them. Remember when we saw James Earl Jones, young in that movie? He was in an airplane. We didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
We only saw that clip. We were just flipping through channels. But yeah, it was a young James Earl Jones. I was like, I ain't never seen James Earl Jones, yo. But yeah, Angela Lansbury played the maid. So I'm about to get into the.
Don't do it.
I was about to get into the recap again. Anyway, I like the movie. I like that it really showed like dude's been gaslighting women for years. Like
It's been gaslighting.
since been gaslighting. Cause he's telling her stuff
that clearly happened in real life. There were even witnesses to at some parts.
He'd be like, baby, no,
like,
no. What are you talking about?
And he was like, oh, I didn't want to have to show you this. All this kind of stuff. Oh, he really got on my nerves.
He was a jerk. He was a super jerk. I mean, blatantly lying to her. Like to the point where he was like, her name is Paula. And he was like, your name's not Paula. Your name is Ashley. Like,
she was like, what? I thought my name was Paula. Ashley, we gotta get over this. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, like it was extreme level. But anyway, I like so it's that going on, but it's also like a thriller.
Yeah.
For the time anyway, because the husband is doing like you get that the husband is not.
He's up to no good.
Yeah, and you find out. Oh yeah, spoiler alert from here on out. Spoiler. You find out that he knows that there's some treasure in this house. So when she bounced when she was a kid, apparently her aunt was really rich, and she left some diamonds, some jewels or whatever, but nobody's found them in all these years. And the husband been looking for him. Was he the one who killed her?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, he killed her. He older than her. Like she doesn't look young in terms of like, it's weird where it's like, why are you married to him? But clearly she's younger than him, but for the 40s, that's not uncommon. But yeah, it turns out he killed her, but then had to dip or whatever because, you know, witnesses, and been plotting this whole time to get back in his house to get these jewels. And one of the ways he gaslights her is that he doesn't hear what's going on in the attic because he comes in through the roof. Like it's a huge house and he comes in through the roof. And so at night when he's supposed to be gone, like at work or whatever, he is rummaging through the house and she hears him upstairs but doesn't know it's him. And when she tells him when he comes home, he's like, oh, you're crazy. There's nothing going on. And it doesn't help that the first maid that they have is an older lady. And, you know, she can barely hear. So she ain't no help corroborating the evidence. So I like, he did a good job of gaslighting.
Yeah.
Even though he's a jerk.
And it's called gaslight because, like I said, the lights in the house are powered by gas. And whenever he is in the attic, the lights get dimmer in the house because he has to turn it on in the attic. And so for it to spread itself out evenly, the rest of the lights get dim. And so she always asks the maids, like, do you see that? Did you notice that the lights went down? And they're like, oh, maybe so-and-so's downstairs. And she turned the lights on because there's two maids. But one time, only one maid was at work and the lights dimmed. And the other maid was like, yeah, I did see that the lights went down this time. And nobody else is here, supposedly. And so she almost had somebody on her side at that point. But it was very quickly a change from having somebody on her side. But that's why it's called gaslight in the first place, because of the gaslights in the house.
So we learned something. We got entertained and educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody did a good acting job. Like, no one blew me away, but everything, I don't know, worked out. It was entertaining.
I like the little nosy pigeon lady.
Oh yeah, she was funny. They kept her in, like they just throw her in every now and then, but anytime she was on screen, it was comedy gold.
She fed pigeons in the park across the street from the house, so she was always snooping because the lady, due to her husband telling her she was sick all the time, she never left the house. And so the snoopy older lady was always trying to find a way to get in the house to see the woman, or at least get her to come to the door. And so she would be popping around all over the place every now and then, talking to the doorman, what's it called? The police officer that patrols the streets.
Constable or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Patrolman,
I think his actual title was constable, but beat cop, basically. She talked to him trying to get some inside news because he was dating Angela Lansbury, one of her boyfriends. She had a lot of boyfriends. Yeah.
She was a hoochie. She tried to get with the husband.
Mm-hmm. Openly, blatantly, even in front of the wife, flirting with the husband. She had no chill.
She had zero chill. But yeah, as to wrap it up, throw in some tidbits as I always do. I already told you about the Angela Lansbury wasn't old enough to smoke, and it was her first role. But like I said, this was a remake, and the U.S. being the U.S. tried to destroy the original copies of the British movie. So it was a British movie first in 1940, and then
it didn't do well apparently too.
Yeah, and when in 44, when the movie got released, they were like, "Look, we don't want nobody knowing nothing about this other version." So they tried to buy out the company and then burn all the copies. And somehow or other, somebody was like, "Nah, you ain't gonna do that, fam," and saved a couple copies. And that's the only reason that people know that the 40 version existed, because they marketed it as if this was a brand new movie, had never been seen before, completely original idea. It was wild. And then of course, now the whole gaslighting term, super popular.
They tried to gaslight the original Gaslight.
Right. Inception.
Wow.
So yeah, what did you think about this?
I really liked it. It was entertaining the whole time because you were arguing with the husband the whole time. Like, you stop doing this stuff. She ain't crazy. I feel like I related to her too well because I am crazy myself for real. And I gaslight myself into like, no, that's not true. But anyway, it was an internal battle watching this movie. But it was really entertaining. Like I said, I liked the pigeon lady a lot. She was like a comedic relief a little bit. Then there was also another character in here that we didn't talk about, the detective. He is like what brought everything together to prove that the man was gaslighting her and that he did kill the auntie and all of that stuff. But he was seen by the husband as just like a romantic interest, like he was trying to get with his wife. And he was like, "Nah, fool, I'm trying to put you in jail." But yeah, I really liked the cast. Like you said, it wasn't really any fully standout characters from it. Everybody played their role. They did a good job, but nobody was like overly memorable at the same time. But I would give it. You want me to give it?
Give it to me.
I would give it 3.5 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5. So what did you think of the movie?
Same. I don't really have any differentiating thoughts from her, so I would also give it 3.5 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5. Again, like maybe if there was a standout performance, like man, they deserve an Oscar for that.
The movie.
Then yeah, I might give it a 4. Or if you didn't know for real or not whether he was actually gaslighting her.
Yeah, that would have been better if they kept it a secret to the end and you were thinking like maybe she
is crazy. Yeah. And maybe this is an old movie. For all we know, they've remade it again. So maybe they did that in a future iteration of it. But I think that would have been a whole lot better because we knew from jump.
Yeah, like they showed.
Yeah, they showed him
setting her up.
Yeah. So that would have made it more of a thriller. But I guess for the 40s, that was enough for people to be like clutching their pearls.
How could you?
Kind of deal. Do you think this belongs in the 1001 movies you must see before you die list? And I got thoughts after you say your piece.
Well, it's kind of like movie-wise, I don't 100% think that this should be on the list. Like, it wasn't anything really standout-y, groundbreaking about the movie itself for it to be on the list. The other movie that we watched with Audrey Hepburn, that should have been on the list in my opinion.
Should be on the list.
And that wasn't on there.
Who else was on the list?
Gooch.
Yeah, Gooch Gucci was number 6. Rick Ross.
Gucci who? Gucci Mane? Was on the list. Eminem went on the list. Shout out my nigga Gucci. Shout out my nigga Gucci.
But anyway, I don't feel like movie-wise it should have been on the list, but I do feel like education-wise, just from finding out where Gaslight came from and all of that, it should be on the list. But I still don't feel like that's enough, even in itself, for it to be on the list. So, long story short, no.
Again, I agree with everything she said. Here's my thoughts on the 1001 movie before you die, or you must see, whatever. I think it's a little BS, because if I gotta see it before I die, like, it's gotta be crazy.
Yeah, it should be like the first of its kind.
Right.
Or something along that line, or just like
Oscar-worthy performances.
Classic movie.
Full of quotes. I don't know.
It's just an old movie.
Like, I think from now on, instead of, we should still say whether or not it needs to be on the list. But I don't think that list is that big for real. Like, there's not that many movies that you need to see.
Yeah,
now,
it could be like 101 movies you should watch before you die.
Right. But again, I think it's cool to know where Gaslighting came from. Like,
yeah,
I enjoyed watching the movie. I'm glad I watched it. But am I gonna tell somebody they need to watch it? Like, you crazy? Also, you gotta think about people's opinions. Like, these movies I think are amazing.
Yeah.
10 out of 10, or in our case, 5 out of 5. You know, A+, couldn't have been even better. If it was, that'd be bananas.
A number 1.
And other people were like, that movie's garbage. And vice versa.
And they're crazy for saying that.
So, I mean, it is all dependent on your personal whatever, right? Are you even into movies? Kind of deal. So, I don't think it deserves to be on this quote-unquote list. And I don't think most that are on this list should be either, even though we haven't watched them.
I won't say most, but a lot. Yeah.
Like, they're not, like she said, they're not the first of their kind. They're not breaking any type of new ground, showing us something we haven't seen before, or Oscar-worthy performance, or that kind of thing. So, but this is still the movie I would recommend to people.
Not that you need to see.
Yeah, you ain't gotta see it.
You can see.
Yeah, like, I'm definitely adding this to my Rolodex of stuff like, hey, did you know the term? Like, if Gaslight never comes up again in conversation, I'm gonna be like, you know where that came from? It came from this movie. Kind of deal like
the 1940s. That's the only, that's really the biggest thing about this movie is that you found out gaslighting
has been around that long.
Been around since the 1940s.
They were probably using it
before then,
right. And it just became like popular.
They're like, that's what you've been doing to me,
right? So yeah, that's it. We watched it on Turner Classic Movies, but it is on Prime. So if you have Prime, you can watch it for free. If you don't, you can rent it. I think it's $2.99 on Prime Video. I recommend checking it out for yourself. And that's all we got. Hopefully this is a lot shorter than we normally do. But again, in the comments, let us know, do you prefer our wacky in and out of the timeline retelling of the movie? Our highlight reel? Or do you just want us
to give you our thoughts?
With
the little bits and pieces from the actual movie.
Yeah, let us know how to proceed. But anyway, this has been another episode of Team Tatum. Like, share, and subscribe. I like that part.